This bracelet is worked in two sections, and I'm going to begin with a tapered start. You don't have to do this. If you prefer to go straight into the pattern and taper at the end, or do a different style of fastening, you can jump to the timestamp on the screen here. I'm beginning with two sections with an equal number of threads in each. These do need to match, so if you have 6 threads in your left hand section like I do, you'll also need 6 threads on the right as well. I've gone for a rainbow and monochrome theme, but you could do whichever colour scheme you prefer, but keep in mind that the pattern works best if you have a contrast between the two sections. So I've got rainbow on the right, and on the left I've got 2 black, 2 silver and 2 white. This section also works really well if you just use one of these colours for all your threads. So for instance, you could have all black, all silver, all white. To do the shaping, to begin the bracelet, you want to work one section at a time. So I'm going to start with the left hand section, and I want to begin with the thread on the right, and I want to work this thread over the top of the other threads and pull through, and then I want to work it underneath the rest of the threads and then pull through. So once I've worked this thread, I'm going to drop it. I'm going to take the next thread and I'm going to do the same thing again, but not working over this thread. So just working over the rest of the threads. I want to work over and through and then under and through. And again, I'm going to drop the thread I've just worked and then work the next one. And again, going over and through and under and through. And then repeat this for the next 2 threads, or it might be more if you're working more on this side, but it's going to be over and through and then under and through. And then again for your last thread, over and through and under and through. And then you can do the same thing at the other side. So you want to take your right hand section, take the thread on the left and just work a mirror image of what you did here, so working over and pulling through. And then under and pulling through. And over and through and under and through. And just repeat what you did at the other side until you're down to your last thread. So once you've tapered, you should have something that looks like this, and then you can go into doing the first part of your bracelet pattern. So to work the first section, you want to swap the colours on this side with the colours on this side. So if you're doing 6 threads here and 6 threads here, you're going to do 6 knots with each of these threads over these threads. So I'm going to begin with the one that's on the right hand side of the left section. And to create the plaid effect, you want to alternate doing forward knots and backward knots. So I'm going to start with a forward knot. Then I want to do a backward knot. Then a forward knot. and a backward knot, then a forward knot, and then a backward knot. So for your second row, you want to begin with the thread that's next to the one in the position that you first worked. So if, like me, you've got 6 threads and you worked position number 6 first, for the next row you want to work position number 5 first. And if you started your first row with a forward knot, you want to start this row with a backward knot, and vice versa. So I did start with a forward knot, so I'm going to start with a backward knot. And then I want to do a forward knot. Backward knot. Forward knot. Backward knot. Forward knot. And then drop this thread with the one that you worked in your last row. So next you want to work the thread in position 4. So you want to start as you did with row 1. So you want to do a forward knot, backward knot, forward knot, backward knot, forward knot, and a backward knot. And then you want to drop this with the other threads. Then taking the thread in position 3, you want to do a backward knot, and again you're alternating your knots all down the row. So it'll be backward, forward, backward, forward, backward, forward. And then once you've done, drop with the other threads. Then taking the thread in position 2, you want to work forward knot first, and then alternating forward, backward until you've worked your 6 knots. Then taking the thread in position 1, you want to start with backward knots, and again just alternate until you've done your 6 knots. So once you've done the first section, you should have something that looks like this, so then you can do the second section. So to begin, you can start at either side. So I'm going to start on the left, and you want to take the thread in position 1, and you want to do 5 forward knots until you bring this thread into the centre. And then you want to do a mirror at the other side. So you want to take the thread at the end and you want to do backward knots until you get this into the centre. So it's 5 backward knots to get to the centre. So next you want to take the thread that's now in position 1, but you just want to do 4 forward knots. So you don't want to do a knot over this one that's been moved to the centre. And you want to do a mirror at the other side, so again, taking your outside thread, you want to do 4 backward knots. Next you want to take the thread in position number 1 and do 3 forward knots. And a mirror at the other side, so doing 3 backward knots. Next you want to take the thread in position 1 and do 2 forward knots. And for the last part of section 2, you want to do 1 forward knot with the thread in position number 1 and a mirror at the other side with a backward knot. So once you've done, you should have something that looks like this, and then you can return to doing what you did for section 1. So you want to repeat the exact same knotting sequence that you used there. Although the colours are in opposite order, it's the exact same knotting sequence to recreate what you did there, and you want to keep doing this all the way down until you've got the bracelet as long as you want it to be.